Who's the grumpy one? Huh? Before. Hey there folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to the farm. Today we're going to be working on our John Deere Gator. So we've got a few issues with the John Deere Gator that we've got to solve. First issue, it's dirty. So we're going to be cleaning it with an awesome new cleaning tool. We're also going to be washing off the 5065 tractor. And we're going to be pulling the Gator in here, and we've got a few things that we have to address. We've got a sway bar broken, we've got to do a full service. We've got to get this thing ready for the next year of service. So come along today as we do a little mechanic work on the John Deere Gator 825i. I'm really happy with this machine. We've got 2 UTVs on the farm, and I'm considering possibly getting rid of our John Deere Gator. We'll take you around, we'll show you all the cool little accessories that I've added to it, which are all over the front, like racks for special tools that put deer in the freezer, and shovels and stuff like that. We've got a machete on the back, all kinds of fun stuff. So come along today as we learn a little bit more about the John Deere Gator 825i, and we do a bit of wrenching and a bit of washing. All right? Woo! So this is our John Deere Gator 825i. It's a 2013 model. It's been just a #1 workhorse on the farm. I think I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 850 hours on this machine. I'll tell you a few things that I like about it, a few things I don't like. The factory headlights, in no way adequate at all. In no way adequate. Let's take our shades off. The sun's not shining. So the Gator came with, it's a 4-wheel drive machine. All you do is flip a switch and it has a solenoid that activates the 4-wheel drive. I prefer manually engaging 4-wheel drive, and it does have a locker lever. That's what that little lever is down there. So we've got high and low range. You can see all the dirt right here. This is the floor area, and we have mats that go in the floor. That's the dirt that's accumulated in the floor area. The bed is pretty big. I'm happy with it. We have used this to haul a lot of rocks. We've had a lot of rocks here on the farm. We've got a few little added special things. I'm constantly needing a machete on the farm. So we've got the machete. We had some of these rack mounts, racks, whatever you want to call them. The Copland rack right here is for holding things that go bang bang. And this is for possibly holding the same kind of stuff. You could put your bow and arrow on it, you could put your shovels on it, you could do whatever. But we've got this mounted up to the front because I found having it on the back when we're loading it up with rocks and stuff just does not work. This is our 5065 tractor. What we're about to do first, before I pull this machine in the shop, is I'm gonna wash it. I'm gonna really scrub it good. And what we're gonna be using is this. This critter is the ABI water trailer. This is a water trailer, and it has a pump system, a little Honda pump system. And I don't wanna say fire hose attachment, but this is considered, this is a hose wand. It is like a fire hose. You'll see here in just a minute, man. We're gonna have a blast, literally. So this thing's pretty cool. I'll talk about that real quick. So this is a 1,000-gallon potable water tank. You can take water anywhere on the farm. So if we have cows in a remote area way across the farm and we don't have a water tank, all we have to do, and we're intensive grazing, all we have to do is take this over there, and there's a little valve right in the bottom right here. So in the center, in the bottom, there's a little valve down there. I can hook a water hose to it and I can fill waterers, or I can put a valve on the water tank and this thing will keep it full. It's 1,000 gallons. So I'll put a 100-gallon water tank with it and it'll last, what, a month with our 10 cows. So the pump pumps water out of the tank, and you have 2 options. You can go back into the tank. So if you mix chemicals or something like that in there, you could mix it, you could send it back into the tank, or you can run this water hose attachment right here. The water hose attachment is an adapter that you can put a smaller water hose on, but it's a lot of pressure, and you're going to see that in just a second. You can use this blue hose, toss it over in the pond, and you can actually pump water from one of our many ponds here on the farm. We can chuck that over in there, fill it up in like 10 minutes, and take off and go water the cows. It also serves as a water truck, a water trailer. So there's spray nozzles on the back, 3 big spray nozzles, and those spray nozzles will wet the road down. So if it's in the hot of the summer and our gravel road down here, we live on a gravel road and it's really dusty, I can go down in the morning or in the evening and blast that thing down so that it stays not dusty, and the neighbors really appreciate that. We're gonna wash all up underneath here. We're gonna super clean the snot out of this thing, so we're gonna just soak it down with super clean and wash it off, and we're also gonna clean all the grass clippings and stuff off of the back side of this tractor and this woods brush hog. Cool. All right, as you can tell, I got wet too. That thing puts out water about 20 times more than a regular water hose. So we've done the preliminary rinse, and then I'm hitting it with super clean degreaser. This stuff works miracles on all the black plastic stuff, and there's a lot of black plastics on this, so we'll just basically soak it down, give it a rinse, and it'll be done. I'll pull it up here and we'll let it dry overnight, and we'll put it in the shop. It's been 2 weeks since we washed the Gator, but look at how clean I got it. So once a year, we'll take our machines, we'll clean them up to the T, make sure they look good, make sure they're well serviced, and it's time to get in here and do the work on the Gator. So we're gonna pull it in the shop right here. I finally squeezed in enough room beside the Willis Jeep and all the other crap that's in here. So we're gonna pull it in here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the Gator up on ramps, okay? So I've got 4 ramps. We'll pull it all the way up on ramps, and we'll lay down on this awesome creeper that I have right here, guys. I'll post links to this creeper. It has an adjustable head, so I don't know if you've ever worked with a creeper, but your head's always up like that. You can just lay your head back. It's a big fluffy pillow. It's dirty. I'm gonna get dirty. That's what this is all about, right? So as you guys probably saw right there, I had no trouble with these rhino ramps back here. I'll post a link to those guys. But I did have trouble with these old-fashioned metal ramps. So I took a piece of cardboard and I put underneath there because the metal ramps wanted to slide, where the rhino ramps, I think that's what they're called. Yep, rhino ramps. They let the vehicle ride right up on there. So a little note to self, if you got these old-timey metal ramps, they like to slide on concrete. So if you put a little piece of cardboard underneath them, or even a piece of duct tape on the bottom of them, that'll help prevent them from sliding. Let's get under here first, and we're gonna change the oil. All right, guys, down and dirty underneath here. So there's a little handle, you can see, watch. That thing raises up, latches into place. And I can lay my head comfortably right there. I'm probably looking at you upside down. So this is our oil container. This little container has a screw top right here, and I leave that screw top sitting there because have you ever taken out an oil drain plug, and this is the oil drain plug, it is a 14 millimeter. Have you ever taken out an oil drain plug or dropped a socket down in a container of oil? It's not a pleasant thing. So we'll take this guy loose. Oh, I put it on a little too tight last time. Then we'll gently remove it, and if I drop it, I'll show you. My cap is still sitting there, so if I drop the plug, it never falls all the way down in the oil, which is something super duper handy. Now I've got rubber gloves on here because I'm working with oil and I'm working with cameras, and those two combinations, they just don't go well together. So that came out good. We'll wipe this really clean. We'll make sure that the brass bushing is good to go right there. We'll set this right here for now. We'll drain all the oil, and then we'll go up here and access the oil filter. Now the oil filter, this is a little 3-cylinder engine, I do believe. I'm pretty sure it's a 3-cylinder. It's an engine that came in some cars. I think it's made in like Italy or something like that. But anyhow, it's a small engine, small 3-cylinder engine. It's not made in America, but it's in a John Deere product. Well, guys, post a comment. Tell me where the John Deere 825i engine is made if you know it already. There we go. Now that we know we haven't dropped our lid, I'll put it right there. So we'll let this guy drain and make a big mess on the floor. And then we'll move it forward and take off our oil filter. Now I'm going to take you up top and we'll give you some tips and tricks real quick. So if you're a follower, avid follower of the YouTube channel, you already know this tip or trick. But what I use, I have 2 bins in my garage. I've got an angry cow over here mooing. Mama's weaning her off. So I've got 2 totes in my garage. This one is my oil change tote. Everything I need is in this container for changing oil. Be it funnels, be it great big vice grips for those tractors, be it tools to remove oil filters or fuel filters. All this stuff is in here, and also even a funnel like this that you can get the capacity of oil that you're putting in. So I've got all this stuff in here. I keep it wiped down. Even a little oil pump right here, a manual pump. All of it stays together. Even the tools. This is from our Sprinter van when we had one. A special tool to get the oil filter off. So all that stays in the oil change bin, and it lives there forever. You can't forget the #1 tool, this guy here, an adjustable wrench. So all of it stays right in here. Funnels, all that stuff stays right in here, and I keep it ready to go. That way when it's oil change day, which today we're going to be changing oil in this, we're going to be changing oil in my Honda, we're going to be changing oil in the Kubota, and we're going to be changing oil in the John Deere tractor also. So all that stuff will all be right here in the oil change container. Now, let's go over here where the oil filter is and I'll show you a trick. Okay, so around here in North Carolina, we call this changing your oil. Not changing your oil, but when you're changing your oil, do you want to use caveman tool to take off your oil filter, or do you want to use the appropriate tool to take off your oil filter? And I say you use the appropriate tool unless you can't get to it with the appropriate tool. So we're going to go down in here and we're going to loosen up the oil filter, and all the oil is already drained out. I warmed this machine up just a little bit, but not too much. I warmed it up to about 100 degrees. Use common sense. You want the oil to be just a little bit warm so it flows out easier. And all I'm doing with my specialized tool here, which loves to get stuck on the oil filter, it's stuck on there now. So maybe the other one isn't quite a caveman tool. All I'm doing is loosening it just a little bit so I can take my hand and turn it off. So I need to make sure that my oil drip pan is positioned appropriately underneath here. And the answer to that is yes. So we'll reach down in here. It's a little bit of a tight fit, guys, and you're going to make a little bit of a mess. So when you get it off, be sure you flip it up as quickly as you possibly can. I don't know how much difference it'll make, but it might make a little difference. Flip it up towards you. There we go. Just like so. Because the manifold's right there, and you'll drip oil on the manifold. Now, we'll pop this guy off. Oftentimes it'll get stuck on here. And we used a ultra synthetic Fram on this last time, but this time we're going to use the OEM John Deere. Alright, we've got our new filter. We're going to take a little bit of oil, put on that new filter gasket. We're going to reach down in here, but our hands are kind of oily, so I've got a couple of these shop towels that are disposable, and I'll use that. I'm going to wipe my hands off good, and we'll get it started. Careful, be careful, don't pick up trash and get it in there. And make sure that your old gasket came off. We'll get it started. There we go. Snug it down, hand tight. Now I have pretty oily hands right now, so I'm going to get it as tight as I can with my hands, and then I'm going to give it about a 1/16 of a turn with my wrench. Where'd that wrench go? So we're going to quickly inspect our brass gasket right here. Let me put my hand up so you can see it. Okay, see that brass gasket right there? We're going to quickly inspect that, make sure it's in good shape, and that's the magnet on the tip. I think, in my personal opinion, every oil plug should have a magnetic tip. I think it only makes sense. We'll wipe it off nice and clean so there's no grit or anything to worry about getting into our oil. And then we'll put 2.3 quarts. We're always going to use a funnel, and here's the oil that I'm using. It's Castrol GTX, and I did the math. Okay, so here's our start point at 3.2 quarts. That's how much is in there now, and 0.9 is where we need to be to get 2.3 quarts in there. If you do a little touch of leg work, it'll save you on the back end, guys. And we also have a label maker, and I'll put a label on here that tells me when it's time to change the oil next time. I'll do that with every piece of machinery that I have, and I also have a logbook over there in case I can't remember. Now, on the top of the engine, you might have noticed that I wrote down the type of oil that I use, the full synthetic, and the full synthetic 5W30 is what I'm using. I wrote down that. I wrote down the oil capacity, and I wrote down, what else did I write down? Yeah, oil capacity. The filter we have is good for synthetic oil, and you need to make sure if you use synthetic oil that you get a filter that is for synthetic oil. So let's fill her back up. We're going to make all this effort to do such a good job, then why in the world would we not use a funnel? So we will use a funnel. 2.3 quarts doesn't take long to pour out of a big old container like this. Here's your tips and tricks. Get your towel ready. Take your funnel out. Go right to the towel. Put your cap back on, and you're good to go. It literally took us 8 minutes to service the John Deere Gator 825i. There aren't a lot of lubrication points on this critter, so that's just about it for the service. Now we'll start it up, we'll let it run for, I don't know, minute and a half, and then we'll check the oil, make sure we got it. We'll also check the oil just before we start it, just to make sure that that didn't go through the crankcase or I didn't accidentally make a boo-boo. So check the oil before you first start, just in case. And the oil dipstick is right over here. Make sure we got some oil on there. Yeah, we're good. Okay, it's not going to be accurate until we run the vehicle just a minute. Shut it down with a nice clean rag. Take that dipstick out. Get her back in there. You got to hold your mouth just right for that. And check her. And she checks good. Nice clean oil. Good until next year. They say every 100 hours. I use a synthetic oil, so you can go a little bit past it in case I boo-boo. But that's it. That's the oil change. Now let's get on to the sway bar in the rear that's broken. I'll show you. It's snapped. Ah. Now it's a matter of personal preference, but the Kubota has a hydraulic only dump, and the Gator has the electric over hydraulic dump. So the Kubota has to be running. So if you have an issue while you're changing your oil and your bed is in the way, you can't start the machine and raise the bed without disconnecting everything. This is electric over hydraulic, and I think it's superior because you're not going to haul but so much in the back of one of these things. The payload capacity is only about 1,000 pounds. So electric over hydraulic, all I have to do is turn the key on and I can dump the bed back. So if I forget to dump the bed back and I drain the oil, I have no way of refilling that in the Kubota. But if I forget here, I can just turn the key on, electric over hydraulic, and lift the bed up. If it were me and I was buying a Gator or any utility vehicle, guys, it's not as important to have a hydraulic or electric over hydraulic dump bed as it is to have power steering. You need power steering in case those smaller folks are driving it, or in case you have shoulder troubles, or you just don't want to have to work so hard to steer it. This does not have power steering on it. They sold me on the dump bed, and we ordered it. They sold me on the dump bed, which was, I don't know, $600 or $800, and the power steering was about the same thing. I should have gone with the power steering. Lesson learned. Now the sway bar is right down here, and it's broken. You'll see right now where it's broken. But we got to take that off. I've got a new sway bar and a box up here. Cross your fingers, it's the right part. Okay, we back on to Creeper. Oh goodness, this is one of them lay on your side type jobs. Let's get the camera up here where you guys can see what we're doing. So for the sway bar, there are 2 attachment points down here, and then there are attachment points on the suspension right there, okay? The broken part, it just snapped off right there. I'm real curious to see what it's going to look like where it snapped off, but I already took that. I unbolted it. The telltale sign for the sway bar being broken was a clunk, 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 clunk noise. So we're going to take our little DeWalt impact. Huge fan of DeWalt tools. And we'll pop this guy out. We're not under any load right now, but we still need to kind of watch what we're doing because this thing could have some tension on it. And we don't want tension to whack us in the head. Oh, baby, you're on there. Ah, gosh. Oh, no skin on my hand left. Off with the sway bar, just like that. Now, we've got to take the bushings, the sway bar bushings out, and that should be pretty simple. We just remove this clamp right here, and you guys are going to see where it's broken. Right there is the brake. That was a pretty nasty break right there. Let's see if we can get you a good close-up shot of it. That's where it broke. I don't know why, but it did. All right, sway bar bushings out, and bye-bye. Here's the part where we figure out if our old sway bar and our new sway bar are the same. And they do look exactly the same, minus that end. See where it broke? I don't know, guys. That is a pretty clean break right there. Look at that. I don't know why it would break right there. You tell me. I didn't overload it, I don't think. We'll slip these little bushings right back over it. Probably wouldn't hurt to put a little grease on these bushings, but they look good and they weren't squeaking or creaking. Oftentimes the sign of a sway bar bushing going bad on any vehicle, and ask me how I know, is the sound of this thing thumping around. Thump, 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 like that. So, no problems there. Get back under here and do the reverse procedure. Oh, and that's it. We'll see you guys in a minute when it's all done and shiny and new. I tightened the movable parts right here that attach to the suspension, the actual suspension parts first, okay? So that I knew it would be centered and snug where it needs to be. Now I'm gonna tighten up my sway bar bushings, okay? I think if you did it in reverse order, you might find yourself in a bit of a pickle. So that's what I did first. Don't go anywhere because we're gonna go down and see what is wrong with this grumpy cow. It's down there fussing. You could probably hear it in the background like, brrr! Mama cow is weaning off some babies, and that baby is not a happy camper. What this really proves is, if you can pick up a good used Gator, they're really, really simple to work on. There's not much that can go wrong with them, and if the engine fails on it, you can easily get a new engine online, no problem. All these parts are available aftermarket, and or you can go to Green Parts or John Deere, however you want to do it. But now we're fully serviced. We got our new sway bar in. We're going to hang on to that axle, let that one start knocking just a little bit more before we replace it. Let's go down and see what this cow's so mad about, and we'll let you guys go. I know what you're thinking. Why don't we take the one we just changed the oil in? I don't know, man. I just like the Kubota better. This seems a better fit. A lot more legroom in here than in the Gator. The Gator doesn't have quite as much legroom. Let's go see what old grumpy cow's doing. Hey girls, woo cow. Who's the grumpy one? Huh? Help me name a grumpy cow. So that's Mama over there, and she is so mad that Mama is weaning her. She can't have the milk she wants. Let's see if we can get a good shot of her screaming. This is it. This is nature. We don't separate our cows. We let them wean themselves, and oftentimes we get a little crying at night, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me today on the Stoney Ridge Farm. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great evening. Have a blessed evening. We'll see you next time. Pound the like button on your way out the door. Jump in, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you back. And Suzie wants to say hey. This is Suzie. Hey, Suzie. Suzie is a... She's like, oh, you taste like oil. But Suzie is a licker. See you guys next time. Woo! Poor cow.
Well, come on down to the Stoney Ridge. Bring your wife, bring your kids. We're living life pure and sweet. That's the way it's supposed to be, Stoney Ridge.